Stephen O'Sullivan heads up the consulting services team at Cystel. Stephen has over 25 years' experience as Executive Director, Head of Digital and Cyber Strategy, Head of Cybersecurity Practice, Principal Consultant, Senior Security Manager, Senior Managing Consultant, Security Operations Manager, Technical Services Manager, and Lecturer in Information Security. He is the founder of Smart Cyber Group and PT Executive Director UK IOTSI. Stephen comes from a background of over 25 years industry experience. At Cystel, his role is to further develop our consulting practices aligned to existing and emerging cybersecurity trends in OT/IE/IoT, AI security and governance, and quantum cyber to serve our existing and future clients' needs. Stephen's cybersecurity skills, including professional certifications such as CISSP, SCISSP, CRISC, CCSk, are backed up by an MBA, allowing him to truly see security and privacy as the business-critical areas they are, and not as a technical function alone. Stephen is a member of a number of associations and industry bodies such as the IOTSI, NCSC-COI, CSAI, ISC2, CSA, and the Global Foundation for Cybersecurity, a Washington-based cyber think tank.
All right, okay. So this is, as I said, a walkthrough of the quantum cyber within an organization and how an organization may start to look at what they have to do right the way through to implementing it. I've got 15 minutes, so it's going to be a brief overview. So initially at the start, there will be a strategic or level requirement, and that will probably come from awareness of the emerging use cases of the quantum computing. So we've got all the emerging quantum computing use cases, which are going to affect pharmaceutical industry, AI, the whole complete lot. Quantum computing into AI, AI into quantum computing. So organizations will look at this from the angle of the applications that they will use going forward, or from the risk assessment of a PQC, have they got the right level of encryption in place? So within an organization, a bank, for an example, there will be an awareness at the board level or a very senior level, and there will be a discussion. So second point down, nation, state, and industry, every country of the world probably has got its own national quantum strategy. UK for sure. The UK National Cybersecurity Centre has published this, and other organisations, World Economic Forum, G7, NIST, etc. The White House. We all know that there's quite a lot of noise and quite a lot of talk about post-quantum cryptography and fixing at least your asymmetric public key encryption to start off with. So this is where things sort of start. So with an organization that is typically a non-quantum enterprise, there will be a strategic perspective, and they will kick off. They will have a working group, etc., that will say, what do we have to do? This is the latest output from NIST. This is the latest output from UK NCSC. We need to look at where we are now, where we need to be, and how we're going to get there in a PQC way. So there will be a senior management team set up, I would hope. And again, anyone on this call from organizations, I'll be happy to hear afterwards how you're doing this. From our own research at Cystel, we happen to know that some organizations are urgent adopters and some are standard adopters. So if you're working in the energy sector, healthcare, finance, you should be an urgent adopter. You should be already have in place your strategic framework based upon your nation state views and your global views about what you need to do and your industry views. And you should probably have in place that framework, that board, that structure to move towards implementing your PQC strategy. So it always starts from the top, as they say, and it's a cliche, but it's true. So there should be governance in place, and Mira mentioned the NIST cybersecurity framework. Version 2.0 has got a govern function, and that certainly could be adopted and could be used. Your team, your quantum team and resources. Mira mentioned about the training, quantum cybersecurity training for leaders, for professionals, for associates. That's something that Cystel have written, the first anywhere globally to be done. That provides people who are at this GRC board level with an overview and training, so they can be prepared to be part of this project. A picture paints 1,000 words is a wonderful idiom in English, and I'm sure it's the same idiom in every other language in the world. But you can see here that we've got a roadmap. And this roadmap assumes that the strategic side I've just talked about has already been done. And you can see at the very top there is a pre-assessment stage 0. And that really says if you're going to start this PQC project, then you need to make sure that people understand what it's about. They don't need to be quantum experts, but they need to understand what it's about. So you've got your educational awareness program in-house. Step 1, cryptographic asset scanning and inventory. And this is sort of Peter's area, and Peter will come back to this next, but you've got to know across your estate what encryption you've got in place. And you may have many forms of encryption in HSMs, in code repositories, in transit, in storage. There will be encryption algorithms all over the place. And most organizations, as an ex-CISO and as ex-head of cybersecurity, I can tell you now, will not have a clue. And don't forget that somebody will be going out to cloud, and they will be relying on Microsoft or Google or AWS to also have the correct encryption in place. So you need to know what you've got. You cannot manage what you don't see and what you don't know. So step 1 would be to do an asset scanning inventory. This is not a manual piece of work. This is a sort of scanner, almost like a pen test, whereby you can go and scan externally and internally, credentialed scan and uncredentialed scans, and get an idea in the picture, and a CBOM, cryptographic bill of materials, or something that gives you a picture of all of your encryption across your organization. Now, you may want to do this in sections, one particular a strategic business unit, one subnet, 2 subnets. You may want to do it based on risk for your applications. It depends on your industry sector, but you will need to do a scan. You need to understand where you are. A number of scanners exist on the market. You need to work out which one works best for you. Peter will expand on that one there. Once you've scanned and you've got a picture of all of your, let's say, non-PQC asymmetric encryption, then you can start to work out, is that encryption in critical applications or non-critical servers. So step 2, you need to work out if you're red, amber, green, what do we need to fix first? Crypto agility really is a vital part here, because you need to carefully work out what you can fix first and what will not cause performance and latency issues by upgrading. So step 1 and 2 really are the technical aspects. 1 is the scan, 2 is the review of the results, and then the working group together to work out what they need to change. Step 3 is where you sit down and work out carefully how you're going to slice up this pie, how you're going to cut the pie into pieces, which parts of the organization you're going to do first of all. It may be at step 4, you will need to buy some QKD, QRNG, VPNs, some quantum solutions to help you fix what you found in step 1 and step 2, or it may be not, but that's part of the process here. Step 5 is where you have your scan results, you've got your risk assessment done, you kind of know what you want to do, and you know how you're going to start. Step 5 is about change control, bring it into service, how you're going to form your team, what you're going to change first, is it going to break anything, doing all your assessments, etc., and having your project and program management aspects in place. You can see at the very bottom of the slide there, I've put another simple arrow there, which really tells you how you're going to do this. Step 6 is a very important part, and a part that a lot of people don't realize. Whenever you do any large upgrade with an organization, I've done many upgrades on programs with many organizations, you need to make sure that you haven't broken anything, because you can upgrade your encryption, but that doesn't mean to say it's not going to break anything. Latency and performance issues may occur with certain applications. So you need to really, at this stage, have a testing team, have assurance in place, strict change control, and completely understand how this works. And also how this may suddenly start impacting your SOC, your security operations center, who suddenly may start getting strange alerts and events coming through to them because of the changes you've done. So this is a whole organization impacting wide piece of work. This is not a 5-minute job. This is a piece of work you need to take in stages. And there's a wonderful saying, which I'm sure many of you have heard: you cannot eat an elephant all at once. You have to eat it in small bites. And this is going to be really true for quantum as you upgrade to PQC. Here, I'm just going to flip back a little bit to some of the things that Mira mentioned. These are some of the Cystel Cyber GRC courses that we've created. And certainly, if you're part of that project team, if you're a C-level person, you should do the leaders course. If you're a professional, head of networks, head of applications, you should do the professional course. Then if you're part of the business functions, you might want to do the associate course. Now on the right-hand side, you've got your transformation course. This is what we've just talked about. How do you form part of your team that enables you to help your organization transform to a PQC world? This would just be 1 day, or this is actually a 2-day course. This is the slides for the leaders one. There's slides for each other particular one that we do, and there's a case study there. We work through with your organization how you can start off. So it's not just a course, it's a course with a practical reverse engineered model back into your own organization. So at step 6, it's a case study on the real world organization, but we also will then come back to you and work with you to map that to your own organization. So that's just some information there. And this is really what I've sort of talked about on the other pages there. Once the organization has decided to go on that journey of PQC upgrades, and once it has done all the scans that Peter will talk about, and it knows what's what, then it needs to move into that do phase. And I've just put it in simple terms here: migration, bringing to service, implement. All these are the same terms. Any new solutions that you may need to be thought about at this stage. Your agility for your organization, what can you change first, what can you upgrade? Number 2, any pre-work, your risk assessments. And you have to remember that, you know, your organization is much more than just your organization. Your organization is your interested parties that form part of your wider organization, and that is downstream suppliers and upstream clients as well. So you need to consider your organization holistically. Number 3, you should have the right project management skills. These people should be quantum trained, at least to the associate level, so they understand what they're involved in. The right skills, this working group that is set up within the organization to implement PQC upgrades. It would be, in my view, preferable if they've worked on cyber-related projects in the past. It kind of makes sense. If not, they're going to be missing out a bit there. Number 5, I'm not sure if you heard of this, but there's a P3M model in organizations: the project management, the program, and the portfolio. If you can adopt a P3M model, it would probably help, because it wraps all of this program of work up into a nice full model, not just the project management side. Number 6, change control. There will be extensive change control. There'll be extensive testing. There'll be extensive insurance. Remember, this is after all of the scanning's been done. Number 7, once you've done your changes, you need to make sure nothing's broken, working with your SOC, any latency and performance issues which may occur. Number 8, I'm saying here that if you've ever worked with an information security management system, 27001, ISO 9001, ISO 42001 is a very popular one there for AI, you should, in a way, look to do this in a management system type approach. And I've just said perhaps there should be a quantum cyber management system standard that allows you to do the technical work and the management system work all in one. And I think that's it. That's it from me, Steve. Whizzing through there super fast. Happy to take any questions on the practical. How do we do it after the call? Unless you want to read out any questions now, Steve.
Yeah, we've got some questions, Steve. So
okay, just have a look in chat. Okay,
just CBOM recognize
CBOM, yeah.
PKI
Cryptographic bill of material, PK. Yeah. It will list in a sort of metadata format all of your encryption that's in place. So it should be a blueprint of all the encryption that has been found. And it sort of links back with there's been a big move recently, probably the last couple of years. SBOM, software bill of materials, is now required by many organizations. The CBOM, in a way, is part of the SBOM. But yeah, it tells you exactly what you have everywhere and what ciphers are involved in bits and pieces. So that's a very, very popular way to have a blueprint of your crypto assets, basically.
Okay.
Hardware, yeah. So yes.
Thanks, Steve. Are there any more questions for Steve, ladies and gents?
I have a question.
Yep, sure.
I am curious about your take on the software and hardware updates costs. I mean, in the end, because like there's always this discussion with QKD, that it's more expensive, and then the PQC is so cheap, and then somehow I have this impression that a lot of companies have a very outdated hardwares, very outdated softwares, and there is a massive cost. Where do you think the big costs will be coming from?
This is a very interesting point, and this is going to be a hard slap in the face, as they say, for many organizations, right? So quantum is going to be done first by those organizations that can afford to do exactly what you said. There's going to be lots of like legacy equipment, lots of software that just cannot be upgraded. It's a fact. So do you change it out? Do you swap it? What do you do? So finance and money always drives everything in organizations. Technology does not. That's just a commodity. It's how much does it cost? Can we do it? Do we get grant? Do we get funding? And I would say that it's for that reason, Anna, at least in part, that a lot of organizations haven't started yet. So they've not employed people like Peter because they don't really want to know what they've got that is non-PQC compliant. Because once they know what's wrong, they kind of got to fix it. So we call it an ostrich syndrome. You put the head in the sand and they just wait for it to go away. But you're right, it is going to have a large financial impact on organizations, especially large organizations, and they have to persuade their board to find that money and why they should spend it. So yeah, that's going to be an interesting one.
Yeah, I was to follow up, like I had a discussion with other people also about this. How do you help companies, right? Because I mean, if there's gonna be a moment, this wake up call, when you can't have your head anymore in the sand and pretend that there's nothing happening, do you think there's gonna be incentives for the companies to implement it fast? Because they haven't started, right?
As you say. So it's going to be, yeah. I mean, I think the nation state will perhaps give grants for sure. In the UK, I think it's £2.5 billion over the next 10 years. But I'm not sure if that's for organizations to upgrade their cryptography or for them to embrace quantum computing. I think that the other way is for organizations, Peter's organization, Crypto Cyber and Cystel and other ones, to actually write business cases. We expect to have to write business cases for these CISOs and chief information risk officers and all of that to be able to present to the board to say why they need to spend it. So it's not going to be easy. Anything involving money is never easy. And people often leave things to the last minute because they don't have the money or they don't want to spend that money until they're forced to do it. Yeah. So yeah.